It is Monday, June 2nd, 2025, 7:30 p.m., and I call this meeting of the Needham Design Review Board to order. I'm the board chair, Mark Lusing. I would like to confirm that members and applicants are present and can all hear. So when I call your name, please respond. Steve?
Here.
Susan? I got you. Millie?
Here.
Also attending is our town staff person, Elisa Lichman. So the applicants are 33 Central Ave, Tom Terracano.
Yes, here on Steve's behalf.
Okay, and 1450 Holland Ave, Brian Bonina.
Yep, here.
And I see Felix is here, so I hope he can
Yes.
hear.
Yes, I'm here. I just shut my camera off for a second.
Okay. Welcome to this open meeting of the Needham Design Review Board, which is being conducted remotely, consistent with state orders. The orders allow public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Needham Design Review Board is convening by Zoom app as posted on the town's website, the Design Review Board page, identifying how the public may join. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this board are available on the town's website. Public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. This meeting is being broadcast to the town's YouTube channel and also via Zoom and is being recorded for publication, later viewing, and administrative purposes. Be aware that other people are able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer unless the chair approves. I'd like to review the remote meeting procedures for tonight's meeting. I will introduce each applicant on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, we will take comments or questions from the Design Review Board members. After discussion, each vote will be by roll call vote. The Building Department requires electronic submission of building permit applications. A copy of your application stamped and noted for the type of approval that you receive will be emailed to you by the DRB staff. That can then be attached to your building permit application. We will start with the first item on the agenda. So, Tom, this is 33 Central Avenue, Central Auto Solution.
Yes, thank you, everybody. I will share here. It says a request has been sent. There we go. Okay, so this is another pretty simple bar frame, aluminum bar frame sign that will be going right in between this brick framed area.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
Sorry, was that a question or just a?
That was the autopilot on Zoom saying something.
Got it. Yes, so it'll be going right here between the brick frame area. There is currently a speaker that's connected to, or not connected, it's there left over from a fire system, but that is being removed. Some of the neighboring signage or lack of signage. I think it's just to the left of this building to fix it. And I do have it on Google Maps as well. Going right here. Again, pretty simple, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay. We'll start, Steve.
Is there any lighting involved or backlit or anything?
No lighting. No lighting that we're aware of.
Okay. No, I don't have any questions right now.
Susan.
I don't have any questions either.
Okay. Felix.
I don't have any questions either with this one.
Okay. Millie.
Likewise, no questions.
Okay.
What we like to hear.
Just want to confirm the mounting. Are you doing brackets?
Yeah.
Hidden brackets?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was my only question was I did see in the image the the fixture that was there. I couldn't tell what it was. So
Yeah,
I think,
it is technically there, but it won't be there by the
Yep.
time we install.
all right, well, I don't really have any issues either. I will say that I appreciate you doing the street view, but if you go to the DRB page in the website,
Mhm.
there is a section after with the application page that describes the submission requirements. And we don't expect them to be 100%, but we did have to call you to ask for an image of the whole building, and that's described in our in our basic requirements. So, and I know you see us a lot, so just please remember
Noted.
that in the future.
I will spread that around to everybody.
So we don't have to chase that down.
Sure.
All right. All right, if there are no other questions or comments, I would take a motion to approve the application for 33 Central Ave as submitted.
I will make the motion to move as submitted.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, and we come to the vote. Steve,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Felix,
Yes.
I'm yes. All right,
Awesome.
thanks, Tom.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, this next item on the agenda is the 1450 Highland Avenue PEX. I think they're a fitness training. I think they were across the street for a while.
Yes.
Okay.
They can everybody hear me? Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. They actually I think they still are across the street, but they're opening. I think this is a second location focused on more boxing, I guess.
Okay.
But I'm Brian from Signorama in Walpole, and I'm proposing their new signage, which pretty basic signage. It's a PVC sign panel that's 1/2 inch thick, that has 1/2 inch thick acrylic dimensional letters mounted to it. And then the sign itself with the PVC with the letters that will be bolted to the building, straight through the face of it. And that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, I can explain.
Yeah, probably a couple. Felix, can you want to start?
I don't really have any yet.
Okay.
Is there a way to share the screen to kind of show it?
I don't have that capability right now.
I'll take care of it.
Um,
I can do it.
If you can share it for a second, give me a second to look at it. If it's similar to what's there across the street, I don't have any.
I think their sign across the street, I don't know if it illuminates or not, but it's a different style sign.
Oh, yes. So I do have questions. Yeah, I do have comments. Is this one illuminated or no?
No illumination. They're just 1/2 inch thick laser cut acrylic letters that will be flush mounted to the face of the PVC panel.
And are all these coming soon and QR code and everything else signs that are in the windows going away?
I would assume so. I have nothing to do with that. I don't even know where they got those. But I would assume once they've came to the place and they have their sign up, they would go away.
So I actually, if it's not lit, I don't have my standard white comments that I normally have, because it's not lit, so it's not going to give as much of an issue. So I've got no comments right now other than I'd like to see the ones that are in those windows going down.
Yep.
That's the whole building, Felix. There's
Thank
a
you.
Rockland and Cupcake people.
Yep.
And the hospital sign on the end is also white.
Yes. Yes, and I think it matches pretty well. I don't really have any issues with it as long as it's not lit.
Okay. Steve?
Pretty much go along with what Felix said. I have no issues with the sign. It looks good. But I don't like to ever assume those signs, all the paper stuff in the wall, in the windows rather, should be removed. That's all.
Okay.
Yep.
Susan,
Same comments, no questions.
Millie,
No questions here either.
okay. I'll just bring this up and see what, if the board has any other comments about it. Is a fair amount of verbiage over on the boxing. You've got adult and semi-private, or private and semi-private, adult and youth classes. That's really, the identifying sign for the building, and the location is typically about the name of the business and some amount of information about what it is if it's not clear from what's going on. And I understand PEX Health and Fitness would normally be all the sign that you need. If you're adding boxing to delineate that information, I'm okay with it, but
Ye-
that's a lot of other verbiage that we did that's really promotional, not identifying the business. So
Yeah,
we typically are hesitant to approve those, but
Mhm.
so I'd be curious if the rest of the board is okay with it, given how they did it here, or if they don't have any issues. I mean, they didn't when you first looked at it. I'm just bringing it up as a special point to consider.
So
I do, sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead,
I was going to
Peter.
say, I do know that they're kind of, because they do have the other location across the street, they are pushing this one as the boxing ones
Okay.
to separate it from I think that one is just the PEX Health and Fitness alone. So I think I know they did mention that they wanted to emphasize that this was just a boxing location.
Okay. Felix?
No,
So I was going to say, as long as they get rid of those paper window signs, I actually don't really have any issue with the semi-promotional side.
Okay.
mhm.
Anybody else? Okay.
Oh,
So,
Mark, now that you mentioned that, like I would prefer to see without those tiny letters above and below the boxing. Um, but again, like if everyone doesn't have any issue with it, like I could live with it as well.
Can you tell me what, because I can't quite see it on my screen, what what words say above and below boxing?
what word above is private and semi-private, and the words below are adult and youth classes.
Oh. I actually, oh, now I can see it in the bottom below. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's on the,
Yeah, I see it now there. I've been looking.
I mean, they're
straight-
small. They're 3.5 inches high. They're not in your face, as sometimes happens with these. And the boxing itself's 13 inches, so they're not,
Yeah.
they aren't. The lettering style fits the
Mhm.
typical size on these buildings along Highland.
I
Well,
totally understand where you're coming from, and normally I would have caught that and agree with you, but I guess I feel it's just it is kind of borderline descriptive of what they do
Okay.
and clarifies, the business. So I'm okay with it.
Okay.
And we tried to make the lettering smaller purposely, so that is the case as well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't overpowering and kind of minuscule.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead with this, Brian, but I am going to make it a condition that all this temporary unpermitted
Mhm.
window signage be removed.
Yep.
Okay, so I would take a motion to approve the sign for 1450 Highland Avenue with the condition that the unpermitted temporary signage be removed.
I would make the motion as conditioned.
Second that.
Okay, we come to the vote. Steve,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes,
Millie,
Yes.
Felix?
Yes.
I am yes.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
So let me make a note here for a second. Okay. The next item on the agenda is, since we have Felix with us, we could get an update, probably not the one we were thinking we were going to get when we first talked about having an update, or that when the committee was making progress, but there's been some hearings since then. But Felix, you want to update us on the Envision Needham committee work and status?
So, there's a lot of discussion, as many of you probably know, on social media about this. There was the public hearing where a lot of businesses and individuals came to speak. I missed the last Envision meeting. I had a Red Sox game. I apologize for missing it. But I know that the plan, which was originally to launch this in July, is being pushed back at least 6 months, and now I'm hearing it may be indefinite. There's been just a lot of very challenging discussions about this. So that's kind of the best I have right now.
Okay, so has the committee met with the consultants and talked about developing alternative design options yet, or?
We keep asking the consultants to do that.
Okay.
And then the biggest challenge with the Envision committee has been getting a quorum.
Oh my goodness.
And so a lot of these things have been informal discussions because the committee is so large and we had multiple vacancies previously that they just filled, that getting a quorum has been very hard. And so Artie Crocker and myself have given direction to the consultants a number of times, but because of the quorum challenges, it's not always been formal recommendations. And so they take it with a grain of salt and follow what the town's staff have then redirected them to do.
Okay.
A lot of what's come to light, though, is that a lot of these things that we would like change, like bike paths and stuff like that, we can't really do because the funding as part of a complete street style project is tied to including those features. So it's kind of like a catch-22 for the town to do this because of that aspect.
Okay. Does anybody have questions or comments for Felix? I did attend both of those meetings. I attended the business one, which was interesting. It was enlightening to the degree that I found that there are a lot of businesses in town that how a lot of their clientele are based, not just Needham. For instance, French Press told me that half his business is non-resident. So, and of course, some of the exercise places and some of the restaurants, which aren't as impacted as traffic, had a lot of the people commented on that their business comes from other places. And if, again, this has been the answer since 1958, is that we need more parking. We need more parking. So,
yeah, and some of the stuff that I've been bringing up is issues of where they're choosing to eliminate parking, is areas that there is no real substitute parking either, like by the UPS store and such. And the other aspect that is being brought up is the consultants keep mentioning, when we say that we're eliminating parking spots, they're saying, no, we're not actually eliminating parking spots. We're actually a net equal. And they're doing it kind of using strategies that I don't totally agree with, where they're saying our existing parking spaces are non-compliant, or what used to be known as grandfathered spots. And so in order to be compliant with current standards, they need to be adjusted anyway. And so a number of those spots to meet current standards would need to be eliminated anyway. So the number of compliance spots at the end of it is going to be pretty much the same as what we have right now.
Yeah.
And so I don't really love that argument that they've used, and they've tried using it with me a number of times. And I really disagree with it.
Well, it isn't, I did see the plan, they did present a plan at the public hearing that they had developed a design. Was certainly much nicer. It would have been a much nicer it's a very nice downtown. They had large space for outdoor activities. The corners were much improved. What struck me was that, I'd studied community and regional planning. I went to school out in the Midwest, and so I did, and my first job in Colorado was doing downtown design studies for towns like Needham all over Colorado. Probably did 8 different little towns. And it always struck us and me that people will go to the Natick Mall, park in the remote garage, walk through the garage, across the bridge, through the mall to Cheesecake Factory or something, whatever. They'll walk a long way. But will someone park in the Chestnut Street lot over in the area by Lincoln Street and walk to Capella's or Nicholas Pizza? No, they won't do it. It's not as far. And part of it is, what we determine is it's really the experience. You're hitting a red light, you're crossing 4 lanes of traffic, it's just not the same kind of experience. So it's always a difficult sell. People want to go downtown, they just want to stop and do what they do and leave, and that's the issue. The other thing the consultant pointed out is that while the businesses talked about wanting to get people in and have a place to park, the road design currently is to get them through town, to get people through Needham Center quickly and easily. So there's a bit of a conflict of sort of goals and attitudes and what works. So we appreciate your working on this, because it's always it's a very complicated thing to resolve, and at this point, with the funding source requiring things that we may not want to do, it seems to be. I would look forward to the next layers of the work that you guys do.
So, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I'm just curious if it's a real issue or not. People are concerned about deliveries. And I happen to know that, like, even on Needham Street sometimes now, because they've reconfigured, the other day I was driving, it's happened twice now, there was a UPS delivery and it was basically blocking the road because it's, you've got 1 lane each way, you got the middle lanes and all that. Is this a real issue to be considered, a problem?
So a lot of the focus on that was the side where the karate studio and the florist and such are. But my actual focus, because I see it as a much bigger issue, is the other side where Needham House of Pizza and the UPS store are. Because Needham House of Pizza, as it is, there's no parking there. So they've actually brought in curbside delivery, and people double park there as it is. And so that becomes a problem. So if you're eliminating 2 lanes of parking right there for the parklet and a bike path, it's just going to make it that much more challenging and unsafe, because people are going to try to cross the line and such. And so, yes, I see that as a big issue. I see it as a bigger issue on that side of Great Plain than on the side where the florist is. But I see it also on the side where the florist is, because, for example, at certain parts of the day, the karate studio has lots of parents stopping to drop their kids off, and Sweet Boba and such, even though we don't know what's going to be there 5 years from now. We need parking, because these are ground floor retail that don't really have very much above. So it's going to be some sort of storefront in the future. So yes, the short answer is yes. And in what Mark was saying, to add on to it, I have my degree in city planning, and I've been teaching it for a number of years at BU. And there's this one article from the 70s that I always assign to my students. and it was one of my mentors assigned at every single class he taught. It's called Dilemmas in a Generalized Theory of Planning by Riddle and Weber. And it's from the 70s. And it really touched upon a lot of what we're seeing here in Needham, that these problems are urban problems are what are known as wicked problems. And you really need to think through it, all the upstream and downstream aspects of it in order to really understand it. And the biggest challenge is actually defining the problem with these urban problems and planning problems. And that's one of the things we've had here is we've defined a certain part of the scope, but that's negatively impacting significantly other aspects that we didn't really think. So I'm questioning whether we actually defined this study appropriately or whether we're just pigeonholing the scope of this study for the funding that we had, which is often a very flawed approach.
Okay. All right, well, we look forward to the next layers, whatever they may be. Does anybody else have anything? All right, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'd make the motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
We come to the vote. Steve?
Yes, Elisa, you need to say something?
What about the minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We'll postpone that.
I take my motion back.
Yeah. So we have the minutes of April 28th and we have two meetings. Yeah, May 19th. So let me look at those, see who was where.
I believe I was not at the last meeting, but I was at the one before.
Yeah.
Same here.
So the 28th is me, Felix, Susan. And then, so let's do those. Motion to approve the minutes of April 28th, 2025.
So moved.
A second.
All right, we come to the vote. Susan?
Yes.
Felix?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now next meeting of May 19th, which was me, Steve, and Millie. So I take a motion to approve the minutes of, are there any questions or corrections? Okay, I would take a motion to approve the minutes of May 19th, 2025.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we come to the vote. Steve?
Yes.
Millie?
Yes.
I'm yes. Right, thanks, Elisa. Now I would take a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I would like to make the motion to adjourn.
A second the motion.
And we come to the vote. Steve?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Millie?
Yes.
And Felix?
Yes.
Felix, thanks for making your way to the meeting. We appreciate it.
Or sorry I was late.
No, it's fine. Looks like you're out somewhere, so we appreciate the effort.
Yeah, it's a Jewish holiday, so I was at Chabad, and the services ran a little longer than was expected.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Yes.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Next meeting is June 23rd. So 3 weeks.
Okay. Okay. Be well, everyone.
Okay.
Great.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Millie.
Thank you.